Now let's discuss this matter with Philippine Business for Education Executive Director Hannibal Kamwa. Good morning and thanks for joining us again.
Good morning, Ma'am Angela and Sir Angelo. Thank you for having me.
All right, so for this year, 22 classroom pa lang daw yung nagagawa, no? I think that's way below the goal, no, of the Department of DPWH. So what is your reaction to this?
Well, I was nakaantabay tayo doon, ma'am, doon sa budget hearing nung DPWH at doon nga po na sabi na 22 classrooms na po yung natapos. Nakakagalit yun. Particularly because for the longest time we've been dealing with backlogs in classrooms. I remember specifically in one of my interviews here in your program, dive on the issue on the classroom backlogs, and it currently stands at more than 165,000 backlogs in classrooms, and out of that 165, if only 22 yung napupunan or natatapos ng DPWH sa isang taon, ay aabutin po tayo ng mas marami pang dekada para maayos po yung problema na yan sa mga classrooms po.
Actually, Hannibal, looking at the numbers, 22 out of the target, it looks like na if this is the pace we're going at, we are never going to hit yung required number of classrooms at any given time. The question here is, they are taking a look at the corruption. Do you think that there's something happening na hindi natin gusto, and one of these days, magugulat na lang tayo, kung hindi substandard, ang dami na palang ghost classrooms?
Now, again, Sir Angelo, we are talking here of an agency that has been in the center of all these controversies.
Yes.
No? And I believe, and this is my personal take, the flood control controversy is just the tip of the iceberg. And basically, if that happens in flood control projects, hindi malayo po na mangyayari yan sa other infrastructure project na hawak ng DPWH, no? So maliban sa flood control, may roads pa po yan, may classrooms, and for me, my interest is really on the classrooms. If we are, again, this is just for this year. 22 lang yung natapos nila. In a previous report, this was actually made in a statement by Secretary Angara, out of the classrooms that they have inspected, parang 1,000 po are actually hindi magamit-gamit. No?
Yes.
Yung mga na-produce or na kinonstruct ng DPWH, parang almost 1,000 hindi magamit ng DepEd because it's substandard siya or may mga issue siya. So if I believe that if there would be going to be a deep dive and an investigation on the classrooms as well, hindi malayo po na magkakaroon po ng pag-ungkat on this controversies.
So ganun, are you in favor then of yung pinag-uusapan sa Senado na i-transfer na lang mismo sa department yung responsibility of constructing from DPWH, ipasa na daw sa DepEd?
Well, DepEd naman, for basically the structure is kasi nga Public Works, DPWH, sila yung main arm, particularly main agency in charge of construction. For me, it's not DepEd. It should be with local government units, number one. Because again, all over the Philippines, nandoon yung pagkukulang sa mga classrooms. If we decentralize, particularly on just classroom construction, decentralize natin yan, and we empower our local government units to construct classrooms in their own locality. Sila yung accountable. And then at the same time, tingnan din natin how the private sector can help through perhaps a public-private partnership mechanism, how the CSOs, ang daming mga organizations, ang daming mga NGOs na have built on their expertise already on classroom construction. In one of the committee hearings ni Senator Bam Aquino, doon nakita actually na mas cost-effective at cost-efficient ang mga civil society organizations and NGOs sa pagtatayo ng mga classrooms. Mas mura, mas matibay, mas climate resilient. So why don't we streamline that, no? Para matulungan ang ating gobyerno sa pag-address doon sa issue ng classroom backlogs.
Yes. Actually, what you mentioned earlier, sir, is also yung parang sinabi rin ni DepEd Secretary Angara, saying na mas maigi siguro gawin na lang din yung what former DepEd Secretary Luis Tru did before, partnered with private institutions, tapos of course, tanggalin nga daw yung sole responsibility sa DPWH para mas ma-focus nga, and of course, to work with LGU para mas magkaroon tayo ng focus pagdating nga sa pagbibuild ng classroom. Kasi earlier this year, sinasabi nga nila, it would take 20 years para mahabol natin yung 100+ thousand sa classroom kung gugustuhin natin. But yun nga po, perhaps can you tell us yung magiging impact nito, sa estudyante, sa teachers as a whole, knowing na ganito kalaking bilang ng backlog yung tinitignan natin sa pagbuild ng classrooms?
At the start of this school year, I remember I was interviewed in your program, Sir Angela, and we are talking exactly of the same topic. Well, in classrooms, and what will be the effect of that on the learning outcomes of our learners. So number one, nakikita natin na let's say for example, may mga maraming schools, particularly in highly populated barangays, highly populated local government units. Yung mga public schools doon are masisikip na, Sobrang dami ng kanilang learner population, in such case that they have been doing class shiftings. So ibig sabihin, may mga pumapasok, may morning shift, may afternoon shift, and even worse, meron mga pumapasok ng late afternoon towards evening. And that is primarily because kulang nga po tayo sa classrooms. So nagkakaroon ng shifting. And now, because of this, nakikita natin na sana po pinupunuan ito, na may backlog na nga, pero yung pag-catch up doon sa backlog ay napakabagal pa, napaka-inefficient pa. So we would see worsening yung paglala ng ganitong sitwasyon. Baka we might not see just 2 or 3 shifts in one day. So napakalaking problema po yan. Particularly because it affects the learning outcomes of our learners. Kung titingnan natin kung congested ang isang classroom, if it was constructed, let's say for a ratio of 1 classroom for 30 learners, pero nakikita natin 50 learners, even more than that. So it does not anymore create that ideal, let's say, learning environment for the kids. So instead na naupo sila doon ng komportable para sila po ay ma-maximize ang, let's say, learning nila, they are uncomfortable on their, let's say, classroom setting kasi masisikip sila, mainit. And at the same time, because of that, makikita natin that we would experience more, let's say, class suspensions na baka magkaroon pa ng problema ng more class suspensions because, let's say, for example, kapag experience from the previous school year, nagsususpend ng klase kapag sobrang init. Kung congested ang isang classroom, madaming learners sa isang classroom, mas masyadong mainit po yun. So, baka po it would, let's say, lead as well to, let's say, suspension of classes, particularly because of those reasons. So it really affects the learning outcomes of our students, particularly on that conducive learning environment in a classroom.
Hannibal, you hit it right on point by saying, well, the backlog ng physical classroom is one issue, but yung issue is backlog also of yung capability ng kada estudyante, hindi mo na mababawi yun. But the question is here, we're talking about the physical classroom. If we do meet, let's say, nahabol natin one of these years yung backlog, ang question is, do we have enough teachers to fill in the number of classrooms we have built? Kasi if not, useless then.
Kasi I agree, Sir Angelo. And again, this has been a very perennial issue. It has transcended several administrations, just on the backlog, as also ang kakulangan doon sa mga sa teachers. So you're correct, sir. So maliban sa pag-shift ng klase because of lack of classrooms, nagkakaroon din ng practice sa mga public schools particularly na dahil sa kakulangan ng teachers, yung mga teachers natin are teaching outside of their specialization.
That's right. Yes.
Technique, ang specialization niya science or math, pero nagtuturo siya ng Filipino kasi may kakulangan sa mga teachers sa Filipino, or may kakulangan sa teachers. Nagtuturo yung isang teacher na ang specialization niya ay Filipino, pero nagtuturo siya ng PE kasi walang teacher may kakulangan sa mga teachers sa PE. So again, maganda na mention nyo ito, Sir Angelo, because particularly ngayon, sinasabi, and it was doon sa version ng budget that was approved in the House. Sinasabi, and there was that claim na this budget, or next year's budget, that the 2026 education budget is the highest history, and it has breached, no, na naabot niya yung sinasabi ng UNESCO, yung global standard na at least 4% of the GDP should be allocated to education. Now, kami sa PBED, we've been fighting na dapat naman talaga na ganun yung mangyari, na mataas ang budget allocation for education, and that we adhere to the global standard of 4 to 6% of the GDP should be allocated to education. And now, our call is actually for transparency, no, and clarity. Ano po yung computation at ano yung breakdown ng allocation para masabi natin na naabot natin yung benchmark na yon na 4%. So more than more than that na paano po yun naabot, no? Paano po nila na compute that it has breached the 4% benchmark.
Pero ang problema nito, Hannibal, if lilipat nga ng construction responsibility sa DepEd, yung 4 to 6%, parang hindi rin tumaas dahil added cost pa rin sa DepEd yan.
Particularly, Sir Angelo, if I'm not mistaken po, though the classroom construction ay nakabigay na in the current practice, the construction is with DPWH. I think the budget is still with DepEd.
Okay.
Parang nagkakaroon ng intergovernmental transfers yan, if I'm not mistaken. So it's still counted as budget ni under education, particularly for DepEd. No? Just in the breakdown, I'm not very sure, but I've seen in the breakdown for the 2026 budget, parang more or less around 40 billion for next year's budget is allocated for construction, repair, and rehabilitation of classrooms.
Pero, Sir, kasi yun nga po yung nangyayari daw dyan eh. Tama yung nabanggit nyo na hindi nagkakaroon ng alignment yung DepEd at saka DPWH dun sa cost per classroom nila. No, mas mataas yung sa DPWH, tapos nagkakaroon pa sila ng mga cancellation ng bidding, nagkakaroon talaga ng bottleneck. Kaya yung backlog natin sa classrooms ay 100,000 plus yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. So my question here right now is, do you think, kasi sinabi rin po ni Secretary Angara na parang nawawili na sila sa flood control project na investigation. While we understand how important that is, do you think also yung education infrastructure natin should be given the same level of urgency para mabigyan po natin ito ng pagkakataon na kumbaga ma-address po natin yung backlog na pinag-uusapan?
Of course, ma'am. There should be that urgency, and there should also be that same level of asking for accountability and transparency on particular to education infrastructure. As what I've said earlier, I believe, and it is my personal opinion, no, na the flood control projects, the controversy is just the tip of the iceberg. Kung tingnan niyo po yan, and if we dive in outside of the flood control projects on education infrastructure, on classroom construction, makikita natin na ang nagiging root ng problema dyan is, number one, merong overpricing, and it has been discussed.
True.
The committee hearings nga po, nasabi ko na overpriced, no? May mga organisasyon na kayang magtayo ng climate resilient up to the standard ng mga classrooms for a lower price, at mas mabilis nila po itong naitatayo. So good question to ask kung magkakaroon ng ganitong investigasyon on education infrastructure is, bakit ganyan ang costing ng DPWH, number one? Tapos number two, bakit matagal silang mag-construct ng classrooms as compared to other, let's say, organizations na kayang-kayang magtayo ng classrooms na, and then nasa standard pa po, no, na climate resilient siya.
Yun nga kanina nabanggit nyo nga yung mga different shifting schedules na ginagawa ngayon to accommodate lang yung number of students per classroom, etc. I did this report few weeks ago about the school in Sitio Dagat-Dagatan, and yung tumatawid pa sila ng ng ilog para makarating sa other side of the para makarating sila doon sa side ng school nila. And they do that every day ng 4 in the morning because yung start ng school nila, kasi morning shift sila, 5 a.m. So, ganun katindi yung nangyayari ng mga... Doon pa lang yun, nasa Sitio Dagat-Dagatan sa Rizal. What more dun sa mga far-flung areas, diba?
Correct. You're correct, Ma'am Angela. And that's just one. And it's really nakakaawa, no? Nakakagalit din. Na bakit ganyan yung nangyayari sa ating mga learners, no? Pero isang ano lang po yan. That's just one of the many cases po na nagiging sanga-sanga ang problema, and the burden of the problem is really on the learners and also on the teachers. Kapag may pagkukulang sa classroom, kailangang mag-shifting. So ibig sabihin, mas maagang magigising ang mga bata. They have to, let's say there's also that shortened yung kanilang, let's say, time, no? Kasi nga may shifting. To be cramped, yung buong schedule nila, kailangan i-cramp on that specific shift. And what does that mean for our teachers as well because of the shifting? Mag-morning shift na si teacher, mag-afternoon shift pa siya, and meron pang evening shift. So it means that also our teachers are overworked because of this root problem lang po. Just looking at the problem of classroom shortages.
And not to mention, madagdag ko lang na kapag may typhoon pa tayo, ginagawang evacuation center yung mga classroom. Yes, Diego.
Which leads to suspension of classes also.
But the question is, I know naman may mga partnerships already between private schools na may mga voucher programs for as part of a decongesting. But what else can mga private schools do with the government to alleviate yung nangyayari sa public school? Even if magkaroon ng financial assistance sa mga private schools, it's because ang alam ko, like in other countries like Japan, the basis of the economy is education. So, is there anything else that we can do within the private sector and the government?
You mentioned it, Sir Angelo, no? So yung voucher system, there has been studies and there's been discussion of the further expansion of the voucher system. So mas accessible sa mas maraming learners as well. Yung private education particularly, no? Because kailangan kasi din po ng magandang framework on public-private complementarity.
Yes.
So for example, more than the voucher system, so that mas maraming access, no? Mas maraming learners yung makakapag-access by having an expanded voucher system. Mas maraming learners yung makakapag-access for private education, and thus na medyo na nakakaroon ng decongestion sa mga public schools. Maliban dyan, there are also there should be an exploration as well of sharing of facilities. Kasi may nakikita po yan na let's say for example in one locality, yung mga private schools doon, may mga pasilidad sila na baka pwedeng gamitin ng ating mga public schools para ma-decongest nga po, no? So ang let's say congestion in the public schools. So maliban on the voucher expansion, there should also be other mechanisms that needs to be explored for public-private complementarity. Facility sharing could be one, but there should also be on the longer term na talagang public-private partnerships to also mapabilis yung pag-churn out natin ng classroom construction, because by the end of the day, kailangan nating may address yung root ng problema for now, no? Nakikita natin na ang source ng problem on classroom backlogs is really sobrang bagal, sobrang inefficient, and every year dumadagdag po itong backlog sa classrooms because lumalaki ng lumalaki ang ating learner population.
Do you also agree, sir, na yung prioritizing is also one of the reason, prioritizing the which areas dapat mauna na magtayo ng classroom ay isa rin sa mga rason kung bakit nagkakaroon tayo ngayon ng mga backlogs?
Definitely, ma'am, because of course, even how big an agency DPWH is, ang dami din po talaga because of the sheer amount of the backlog, talagang magkakaroon ng prioritization, no? But that would be solved. The issue on prioritization, magkakaroon ng mas malawak na nasaklaw po yan kapag local government units, no? So basically, if local government units would be empowered and they would take the lead on classroom construction, mas nasispread yung accountability. And by the end of the day, particularly if we're going to do an audit, mas madali because mas madaling makita ng taong bayan na, ang sabi ng DepEd dito sa munisipyo namin, nag-allocate sila ng budget for 10 classrooms. Madali nilang mahahanap yun. Sasabihan nila or they will make their mayor or their governor accountable na, sabi sa DepEd, there's budget for 10 classrooms in our locality. At the end of the year, nasaan po ang 10 classroom na ito? So, in that case, medyo short circuit natin yung number one, yung pag-construct, but all the more, nagkakaroon ng easy access for transparency and accountability. Making your local governments
mas
accountable.
alam nila
Yes po,
Mas alam
exactly.
All right. Thank you for your time and insights, Hannibal Camua, Executive Director of PBED. Hope to talk to you again.
Maraming salamat din po. Thank you.